awaken your natural intelligence. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, 188th Sutra, 4th chapter, 26th verse, almost he is giving the essence of the whole book in these last 10-20 sutras. So, ideas may look like repetition, but we should not take it as a repetition, we should take it as a condensation. The whole condensation is offering it. Tata hi viveka nimnam kaivalya bharam chittam. Tata hi viveka nimnam kaivalya bharam chittam. Swami Vivekananda's editorial team translates the sutras, then bent in discriminating, the mind attains the previous state preliminary to Kaivalya, isolation. Swami Prabhavanandas translates as, when the mind is bent on the practice of discrimination, it moves towards liberation. Swami Sachidananda translates as, then the mind stuff is inclined toward discrimination and gravitates towards absoluteness. Bhagavan Osho translates as, then the mind is inclined towards discrimination and gravitates towards liberation. Maybe I'll try to alter the word gravitation with levitation. If I am asked to give the meaning, I may give the meaning that when your every thought moves with a discrimination, automatically your whole system levitates towards liberation. Gravitation is more like pulling down, levitation is more like pulling up. Actually, when you are functioning with more discrimination, you will feel very light. Here the Patanjali uses the word bharam in Sanskrit, which is roughly translated as gravitating toward. I can say that technically, it is more like a levitation than a gravitation. The experience itself. Patanjali is using a symbol or a expression of gravitation, but actually it happens like a levitation. You become light. That is why all the things which makes you light heals your body and mind. Neem juice makes you light. Enema makes you light. It heals the body and mind. Yesterday I was reading, somebody gave me a Pulipani Sutras photograph, and that I found a reference of certain book. And I digged out that book I had in my collection. I was studying. They used neem juice as enema and healed many of the mental disorders. Neem juice is given as enema instead of water, and they healed mental disorders. They are speaking about that. Of course, I have never tried neem juice as enema. I tried only separately, neem juice separately, enema separately. But anything which makes you light, heals you. I can say, constant practice of discrimination means constantly your thoughts being aware of where it is flowing, being integrated about where it is moving, makes you move towards liberation. Viveka nimnam. The discerning wisdom makes you incline towards the Kaivalya, liberation. Patanjali is using all beautiful technical terms because he is ending the sutras. He's a great poet. So, traditionally when you end a poetry, you use all beautiful technical words like Viveka, Kaivalya, very graceful words. Again, this sutra is continuation of yesterday's sutra. As I was explaining yesterday about this discrimination, constantly discriminating how your energy is moving, how your energy is flowing. If I have to tell you in a very practical, colloquial sense, how your every thought is moving. Yesterday itself I told you that we always wanted to be in a kind of a giddy mood. You don't want to be aware whole day about something. After half an hour, you just want to forget about everything. Even in your work, you wanted something very mechanical and automatic so that your mind can be somewhere lost. I have seen one of my teacher during my polytechnic days. The lathe he will work, the lathe machine. I studied mechanical engineering. So the lathe machine he will work. Such a funny thing. He will be gazing somewhere and thinking something. We know for sure he is not there at all. He is thinking something. And that fellow will completely finish the project. The object which he is supposed to create, he will finish it to the precise of the threading. The lathe threading is the most difficult thing. And you have to learn threading. It takes a lot of time. This fellow will do even threading so perfect. But at the end of the project, if you ask him what were you doing, he will tell that he was thinking about a house, some wife, some problem, something. That's it. He had a mutton shop. He will come very late to the lab and all that hen feather, everything will be there on his shirt. Really, sometime the goat's hair, hen feather, all that will be there on his shirt. He will come and start doing this lathe work. Those days, the three kinds of lathe they'll teach. The wooden lathe, carpentry work, and the MS steel, the mild steel lathe, then hard steel lathe. In hard steel, you practice only making shafts. The mild steel, you are supposed to do the threading and all that. This fellow will do the whole thing, but he will not be there at all. I used to wonder. Even in those days, he was my great disciple. And even now, functions and celebrations, he comes to take darshan. When I saw him, I was really wondering, can human beings be like this? That was the first time in my life I learned you can be lost somewhere. Not really. It's the lesson I never even, the idea I never even had. I went and asked Raghupati Yogi. Today morning I was talking about him. That's why I remembered this incident. I asked him, how come this guy is working in the lathe? And you see, to do threading, you need a lot of attention. It is not a joke, like that it will be rotating in high speed and you have to take that bit which does threading very closely and the smoke will come. Then you have to pour the cooler, some lubricator, and that foolish fluent will stop coming in between. Actually, they will have a bucket and one tube will be there. In that you have to suck in the tube and spit that on that and pour coolant. You have to hold the coolant and then you should ensure that the threading happens properly until a certain limit. If you cross more than that, the drill bit, the tool will hit the main jaw and the tool will break or the jaw will break. This fellow will do so perfectly. But he is there cutting the goat and hen, chicken. Actually, I asked this teacher himself once, how are you able to manage? Because I always used to see whenever he works, his eyes are lost somewhere. Another one good thing, I will never do any of this project, he will only do for me. I asked him, how is this happening? He gave the example of Vyada. In Mahabharata, there is a story where one butcher, he will be, his profession is making and selling meat, killing the animals and selling the meat. The story says that one yogi came to his house, and it's a long story. I'll just introduce the Vyada character, that's it. Vyada was supposed to be a great Paramahamsa, because even though his body is doing the job of killing the animals and selling the meat, his consciousness was always in the eternal bliss and enlightened state. He was completely detached. So this teacher also gave the same example. I am like a Vyada. Of course, I did not buy that argument. I went to Raghupati Yogi and asked him, how is this possible? He said, a Paramahamsa and a fool, both two extremes, both can manage doing a job perfectly when the mind is wandering. He is such a extreme ignorant fool. He does not want to be aware of what he is doing. See, in Vyada's case, Paramahamsa, every time when he cuts the animal, he is completely aware how the consciousness leaves and takes another one body. This body, pain, all these things are just superficial. I can say that this experience itself has led him to enlightenment. I wanted to tell you another one important thing. Even though I myself a staunch vegetarian and promoting vegetarianism, never allow this animal sacrifice and all these violence-based things. I should tell you some lessons I myself learned. I had the opportunity of reading Vivekananda's notebooks, diary, when I was in the Bengaluru. The publication department, they were sitting and doing proofreading from the original and the modern, the latest printed versions. Proofreading and translating. See, now, for example, original works are in English, majority of them. When you translate them to Bengali, sometimes the Hindi translation is done from Bengali, not from the original English. So the translation takes a certain deviation. So because of this problem, there was a rule passed in the Ramakrishna Mission. All translations from that language, it has to be brought and compared with the original English. There were some Swamis who knows only Hindi and Bengali. They did not know the English, but they translated Vivekananda's work. They translated from Bengali to Hindi. So to avoid that, all translations were asked to be brought from all over the world. You will be shocked. Ramakrishna's literatures are, Vivekananda's literatures are translated in more than 100 languages around the world. And there was like a mela going on. All the translations were asked to be brought. And the original was read out. They were all comparing and doing. I had the fortune of reading some of that. There was one part which is not translated and published. His conversation about Durga Puja. In Bengal, the Durga Puja time, they give a goat sacrifice. The animal sacrifice is done. So during the puja, before the puja starting, the Bandaris and Pujaris, Bandari is the person who organizes, Pujari is the person who does the ritual. Tantradarak is the person who assists, chants the mantra. So the Bandari and Pujari comes to Swamiji to take the blessings and asks, should we do animal sacrifice? He says, you should do it. And he goes to the extreme that so much of sacrifice should be done, the blood should flow into the Ganges and Ganges should become red. Anyhow, the Bandaris have started organizing the goat and everything. The moment Sharada Devi came to know from Jairampati, she was sitting in Jairampati. Jairampati is some maybe few hundred kilometers, I don't know, in West Bengal, her birthplace. She was sitting in Jairampati and the information reached her. Immediately she sends the message, no animal sacrifice in Belur Math, no animal sacrifice in our Sampradaya. If you want, as per the tradition, you are supposed to have little Mahaprasad. Mahaprasad is the goat meat, sacrifice to Kali. So get it from Dakshineshwar temple and offer it. But no sacrifice inside the Belur Math campus. She made a rule, as she was respected as a Sangha Janani. Her word is the ultimate and final. So Vivekananda withdrew. He took his decision back and said, she is Sangha Janani, so her words are the ultimate. So finally, sacrifice did not happen. That's different. But Vivekananda says, take all the goats, whatever was brought to the Dakshineshwar and do the sacrifice. In Dakshineshwar temple, still they do sacrifice. Every day, do the sacrifice there and bring the meat and offer it to Durga. I was wondering, why Vivekananda will ask the animal sacrifice? A man of Vivekananda's stature, that compassion, he very beautifully describes. There is a footnote in that. Actually, the conversation was recorded by a disciple that was there in some other handwriting, the disciple's handwriting, maybe Sadananda. Sadananda and 2-3 other Virajananda, these 2-3 people were the disciples who were recording this conversation. And the footnote is in his own handwriting. His own handwriting, he says that when animal sacrifice is done, if you are there with intense awareness, the fear of death disappears. Don't be a pseudo. Vivekananda is a great Shakta, the Devi worshipper. He said, see the animal sacrifice. You will be out of fear and you will be out of the idea of death. After this, I got very curious. Very curious. Because in my village, Arunachala, in my family deity, Sitala, Mariamman temple, they will do animal sacrifice outside the temple. I will not even go that side. And I was dead against the animal sacrifice. I spoke to the temple pujaris and so many times telling them stop the animal sacrifice. So I am basically a vegetarian family and born and brought up in an orthodox vegetarian thing. Not only you can't eat non-veg and you can't even talk about non-veg in the house. But I decided after reading this part that I should go and see the animal sacrifice. I went to Dakshineshwar. They usually give lot of goats as sacrifice only in Saturdays. In Bengal, Saturday is the day auspicious for mother. So I was sitting for a few days in the temple, living there in the Ganges, banks of Ganges. And Saturday, I sat in that front hall. And I sat continuously watching the goat sacrifice. Maybe the first 3-4 I could not tolerate. It was suffocating, so painful. When you see that in one cut, the head will go separate. And in Bengal, if you see, there will be a wooden piece like this. Like this, there will be a wooden piece, V shape, and the goat will be kept, the head will be kept in that. Just only one cut, tuck, that's all. The head will go separate, the body will be separate, and the head will be jumping. And the body will not actually jump fully, because the neck will be caught in that wood, the V-shaped wood. But the goat's legs will try to take the neck out of that V-shaped wood. So to see that struggle, and the blood will be oozing, it's really horrible. But after 4-5, I saw very clearly the life leaving the body, and it is settling. Suddenly I realized all pain is just your association with biomemory, nothing else. The moment the goat stops associating with the biomemory, pain is not there. See, first few moments, the goat has still a hangover, a small desire. It may be able to get back to its biomemory in complete form. Only those few moments the goats are suffering. There are some goats very resigning. They did not even jump. Only their head was rolling. Their body is not even, they are not even trying to pull themselves out of that wooden piece. I realized pain is nothing but your attachment to your biomemory. Then I went again next Saturday also to see. I can say maybe end of the second Saturday, the very idea of fear and death has disappeared. That flesh and this flesh is one and the same. If the knife which falls there, if it falls here, the same. It's nothing more than that. Consciousness struggling with the biomemory. When it is understanding, the biomemory can't be held anymore, and then it just leaves, packs off, goes for the next job. Same thing only your body also. If that same knife falls on this neck, what is there? Few minutes, this consciousness may struggle with this biomemory. When this consciousness understands with this biomemory, you can't hold it anymore, it will go and do the next job. That's all. Of course, maybe you guys are not catching what I am saying. You are not able to feel connected with what I am saying. I had two fortunate things. One, tremendous trust on Vivekananda. Second, the direct face-to-face experience. Maybe you guys also can go to some temple in South India. There is the Rangyam Karpar temple where they give 1,000 goat sacrifice every year on Shivratri night. Maybe you guys can go and watch. I tell you really, by the time second Saturday ended, Saturday means lot of goats continuously they will give offer. By the time second Saturday ended, I lost all fear about death and pain and all that. Vyasa, when he was cutting, he was in that awareness. Discrimination, viveka. That is why even the cutting goat business has led him to enlightenment. But this my teacher is not Vyasa. He just became insensitive, means moved out of the scene. He just goes on, does, but does not even bother. He is the only guy whom I have seen in my life who works with the knife whole day, never had a one small hurt in the hand. See, he himself cuts the meat, but not as one mark. I asked him, have you cut yourself even once? He said, no, never. Then I asked Raghupati Yogi, how can this be? He claims himself as Vyada. Raghupati Yogi said, nothing doing, never. Understand? Doing the work, but not integrated by your thought to your work. Please understand, I am using a word. By your thought to your work. Integrating your thought to your work. I will call integrating your thought to your existence is what? Discrimination. You can give any meaning to the word existence, your work. The way you exist at this moment. See, at this moment, the way you exist is you are a disciple sitting and listening to satsang. If your thought is integrated to that, you have a discrimination. But if your thought is somewhere already integrating your thought with the existence, it is what I call discrimination. I can say integrating your thought into your action can also be called as discrimination. It is so difficult to make people follow the spiritual practice because whole day they don't have discrimination. I tell you, today morning during my walking I was talking to some of our ashramites. We were walking near the temple. The temple, they were doing abhishekam. I heard the chanting music and the ringing bell. And I stood and did namaskar and I said, my whole life I woke up only hearing this sound from the young age. Because morning 3:30 in the temple, Tiruvannamalai temple, they will start the Suprabhadam in Tamil with a loudspeaker. And then all the temple bells will ring. By 4 o'clock, the Shivapuranam will start. My whole life, I woke up only hearing that sound. By the time it is 4 o'clock, I will be there already in the temple. It was like my life. Any day, 4 o'clock, I will be there in the temple. It's not like option. First thing people should have viraga. Viraga means it is useless to be alive. No, that clarity should come. Only then you will ask, why should I be alive? Then your intelligence will be convinced, maybe for the sake of enlightenment, I should be alive. Then all your thoughts should be integrated to action. Or action should be integrated to the thought of enlightenment. Only then routine will not be tiring, boring work. Otherwise, you see, I can tell you, not aligning every thought with your action is the worst crime human beings start doing. Actually, if this crime starts, all degradation will enter into your life. Sharada Devi says very beautifully, if you allow one small rat inside your house, for the sake of killing the rat, you will have a cat. For the sake of milk for the cat, you will have a cow. To take care of the cow, you will have a maid. To take care of the maid, you will get married. So it's called rat sannyasa. The rat makes you grihastha. It's a story from Sharada Devi. She says, if you allow even one thought to move in your inner space in an unaware way. That is enough to build tuck, 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 next. One thought I can say. For an example, why should I get up every morning like a slave? If I lie down in the morning and sleep, God won't give enlightenment to me or what? This one thought is enough. Then you can build. Then naturally mind will say, instead of suffering like this, even if you fall sick, it's okay, we can handle. Your mind can tell anything into anything. Now this is the way one idea enters into your system. That is a rat. The rat will bite your cowpea because you need to save your cowpea. Then go for a cat to kill the rat. But then you need milk for the cat. Then go for a cow to have a milk. Then you need a maid to take care of the cow. Then somebody needs to take care of the maid. Every thought moving towards discrimination directly leads you to enlightenment. I remember some more things which I read in the diary. It's not like a diary, notebook. A huge notebook where all these notes are recorded. And Vivekananda always wanted all Swamis to own a business. You will be shocked. He wanted all the Swamis to have run some profession activity and run a campus independently. He says that each campus should be manned by one Swami. He should run some profession. He calls it Pallimangal. Pallimangal means village welfare. He gives the name also. He gives some ideas. The Swami should give the things needed to make like a jute bag, all these handicrafts thing to all the villages. Once it becomes a complete object, you should buy it back and sell in the market and pay them. Make that local village, Pallimangal he calls it. Make the village auspicious, rich, and you also do the profession. Through this, create wealth and run the campus. This was the original idea of Vivekananda when he wanted to create many campuses. And he says very clearly, don't sit on donations. He was such a visionary. In his time, a sadhu working and all is a crime. If you are sadhu, you are supposed to just sit and not anything else. He says very clearly, don't be a parasite on society. Indian society is already in poverty. We sadhus also should not become a load on the Indian society. We should work and do the Pallimangal projects and eat. The first steel plant in India is created by Vivekananda. He spoke to Tata when he was traveling in the ship, and he told Tata, start steel plant in India. This will be the great blessing for Indian economy. In those days, he thought about economy. And Tata started the first steel plant after Vivekananda's blessing. A man of unimaginable practical wisdom and charisma and efficiency and energy. Unfortunately, died too young. Just 39. Otherwise, he would have done so much to India. Especially if he has survived at least even 10-15 more years. He would have got the freedom within 5-10 years if he has survived. He would have got the freedom and he would have guided the independent India. He would have done so much. Anyhow, even what he wrote, if everything gets published, unedited and gets executed, still his teachings are alive, practicable. Every moment integrating your thought into action means constantly doing responsible action. Almost it's like you dump your body and it is doing, and you are there somewhere. How these flower guys make garland. This matchstick people, they make the matchstick in Sivagasi, Tamil Nadu. I have seen making Bidadi, matchstick and all that. For hours they will be working, but they will not even be aware what they are doing. By and by, in 10 years, making this cracker, making this matchstick, making Bidadi and all these business people, they just become one with the machine. They don't know what they are doing. Their thought is not integrated to their action. So unfortunate. Let your thought be integrated to your action. Sit for a few minutes, doing samyama on this great truth. When every thought you have is integrated with your action, you levitate towards liberation. You reach enlightenment. This one idea, meditate on it. How you can keep yourself aware, integrate your thoughts with action every moment. Let the Kundalini Shakti in you all be awakened. Let you all have this great Viveka, which Patanjali describes in this sutra. Viveka nimunam kaivalya prakbaram